Okay, we are now recording.
Great, thank you. Good evening, everyone. My name is Kyle Stone. Welcome to our committee and board meetings this evening, June 11th, 2025. It's a little after 6 p.m. I will make the requisite motions so that we can conduct these meetings virtually. To conduct this meeting wholly electronically, the Park Authority Board needs to make certain findings for the record to evidence our compliance with Virginia Code 2.2-3708.2. These motions address this compliance. First, I'm going to conduct a roll call and ask each board member participating in these meetings to state your name and the location from which you are participating. I ask that each of you pay close attention to ensure that you can hear each of your colleagues. Following this roll call, we will vote to establish that every member can hear every other member's voice, and we will go alphabetically. And as the evening progresses, if any additional board members join us, we will do the same thing for them and verify their audibility and location. So unless you joined while I was reading that, Abin is still not with us, correct?
I don't see her yet now.
Okay, so Bill, you're up first.
Bill Bowie at my residence in the Hunter Mill District.
Thank you. Linwood?
Linwood Gorham from my kitchen in the Mount Vernon district.
Tim?
Tim Hackman from my home in the Dranesville district.
Rick?
Rick Healy from my home in the Mason district.
Faisal?
This is Faisal Khan at my residence in Providence district.
Jose?
This is Jose Peralta at my home in the Sully district.
Ken?
Ken Quincy from my home in the Providence district.
And Jonah is not with us either, correct? Okay, and then I'm Kyle. Go ahead, sorry. What were you saying, Diane?
She's sending me emails, but I don't see her on here yet.
Okay. And I'm Kyle Stone, and I'm at my joining from my residence in Fairfax. So at this point, I will pass the virtual gavel over to Vice Chair Tim Hackman so that I may be heard to make the requisite motion. I move that each member's voice may be adequately heard by each other member of this board.
This is Tim Hackman. Is there a second?
I second. Ken Quincy.
It has been moved and seconded. Is there any discussion? Seeing and hearing none, all those in favor of the motion say aye.
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 Opposed, nay.
All right.
Mr. Chairman, that motion passes.
Thank you. This is Kyle Stone again. Second, I move that the Park Authority Board will hold an all virtual public meeting because circumstances warrant the holding of an all virtual public meeting, including but not limited to the convenience of an all virtual meeting.
Tim Hackman, is there a second?
Ken Quincy, I second.
Any discussion? Seeing and hearing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. The motion is approved.
Thank you, Tim. This is Kyle again. Third, I move that the Park Authority Board has not had more than 2 all virtual public meetings or more than 50% of its meetings rounded up to the next whole number, whichever is greater during the calendar year since the emergency order was lifted. And 2, the Park Authority Board's last meeting was not an all virtual public meeting.
Is there a second? This is Tim Hackman.
Ken Quincy, I second.
Any discussion? Seeing and hearing none, all those in favor say aye.
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 Opposed, nay. The motion passes.
Thank you, Tim. As a result, I further move that the Park Authority Board conduct this meeting electronically through a dedicated video and audio conferencing line, that the public may access this meeting by calling 571-429-5982 and entering access code 560000854.
Pound.
Pound, yep.
Is there a second? This is Tim Hackman.
Ken Quincy, I second.
Is there any discussion? Seeing and hearing none, all in favor say aye. Aye.
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. The motion passes.
Thank
I
you,
just
Tim.
want-
This is Kyle again. Finally, I move that the meeting of the Park Authority Board to be held this day is in conformance with this body's all virtual public meeting policy. And as such, the meeting notice indicated that the public meeting will be all virtual, and the notice stated that the method by which the Park Authority Board chose to meet would not be changed unless the Park Authority Board provided a new meeting notice in accordance with VA Code 2.2-3707. Public access to this meeting is provided by electronic communication means that allows the public to hear all participating members of the Park Authority Board. Audio-visual technology, if available, is used to allow the public to see the members of the Park Authority Board during this meeting. A phone number, email address, or other live contact information is provided to the public to alert the Park Authority Board if electronic transmission of this meeting fails for the public, and if such transmission fails, the Park Authority Board will take a recess until public access is restored. A copy of the proposed agenda and all agenda packets have been made available to the public electronically. At the same time, such materials were provided to the members of the Park Authority Board. The public is afforded the opportunity to comment through electronic means, including written comments at meetings where public comment is customarily received, and there are no more than 2 members of the Park Authority Board together in one physical location.
This is Tim Hackman. Is there a second?
Ken Quincy, I second.
Any discussion? Seeing and hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye. Aye.
Opposed, nay. Mr. Chairman, the motion passes.
Thank you, Tim. This is Kyle again. Diane, before we jump in, anything, did anybody else join while we were doing all that?
Yes, Jonah is now on.
All right. Jonah, could you please state for us your name and from where you are calling?
Jonah Toomey from my home in the Drainsville district.
Great. And then before we jump into our first committee meeting, I just want to remind everyone that when you are talking, please state your name. With that, Jonah, you're up first.
Kyle, I'm sorry. Can I just interrupt? I got an email from Dr. Carter that she's in the waiting room trying to get in. Is she on?
I'm sending her an email right now just to ask her to try again because I don't see her here in the waiting room.
Okay.
Great. So Jonah Toomey here. I'm calling the Resource Management Committee meeting to order and asking that Katie Edwards and Dave Lawler state their names and introduce their item.
Hi, thank you. This is Katie Edwards. I'm the Wildlife Management Specialist with the Fairfax County Police Department.
Hi, everyone. I'm an ecologist with the Fairfax County. I'm Dave Lawler, an ecologist with the Fairfax County Park Authority Natural Resources Branch under John Burke.
And do we have the slides to share?
They'll be coming right up.
Thanks. Well, good evening to everyone. It's nice to meet you again, and we do this every year, but I wanted just to meet tonight to give a brief update of our deer management program. Tonight we'll just be reviewing again the results from last season and then looking forward to plans for FY26 with the season beginning this fall. And if you can advance, please. I think as most all of you know, the deer management program has been around quite a while. We're, I think, on year 28 at this point. The program was approved by the Fairfax County Board of Supervisors in fiscal year 1998. It's a program that is implemented through our police department's Animal Services Division in partnership with Fairfax County Park Authority, Nova Parks, and other public landholders. The program initiated due to public safety concerns associated with a high number of deer vehicle collisions that occurred annually in the county. It's expanded over time and now looks to address health concerns related to public health as well as deer herd health itself, and then ecological damage and also private property damage. So it's expanded in terms of breadth over the years. Next, please. Right here, we have the summary statistics from FY25, the last most recent deer season. Deer herd reduction activities took place at 107 county parks. We had 600 deer harvested in total countywide, counting non-FCPA properties. 517 of those deer were harvested from county parks, with the majority of those being taken through the archery program with 468 deer, and then 49 deer were harvested in sharpshooting efforts through 9 parks. Archery again is the largest program that we have. It's the primary management method implemented in the county. It's the most cost-effective program that we have, and it represents 91% of the total program harvest last season. Next, please. The graphs here just show the harvest totals of the program since the program's inception back in 1998. On the left, you'll see this is a graph showing the contribution of each management method since the archery program was really fully implemented in fiscal year 2010. It's accounted for over 83% of the total harvest. On the right, you have a graph showing the contribution of all the methods combined with our harvest totals. And what we want to really point out here is predominantly the green bars are the archery program. So once we expanded and added archery to the county is when we really saw those harvest totals climbing. And they've been steadily declining over recent years. And we've been looking at that with various metrics, including the harvest totals, hunter observations, and the monitoring data that we collect for this program. And this is all pointing to the program actually being successful and that there are less deer on the landscape. And that's why we're seeing these lower harvests trending down over time. Next, please. As I mentioned, we have various methods that we use for monitoring, really to gauge the program success and also to inform our management decisions. One of those is to estimate deer density in select parks. Previously, we were using camera surveys to estimate deer visiting a bait station. These, again, require us to use bait in the form of corn to draw deer to those locations. However, with the detection of chronic wasting disease in the county, we're no longer allowed to use bait for surveys. And so we've had to explore alternative methods. The past 2 years, we really haven't been able to collect data for deer density because of this. But luckily this spring, FCPA was able to fund and contract with Stewart Green, and they were able to fly drone surveys for the first time to measure deer density in select parks. So these surveys were actually conducted during the last week of March, and we were able to collect data on 18 county parks. We had an additional 6 parks that were identified for drone surveys, but due to FAA restrictions related to Reagan airspace, we were not able to have them flown. We're still working with the vendor to see if there's possibility of having those flown potentially late winter, but it will ultimately depend on whether they get the FAA authorization. This says the final report is pending. We just received the final report from the vendor, but Dave and I still need to get together to really thoroughly review those results before providing those or any comment on them. Next, please. I'm going to turn this slide over to Dave to talk about the browse surveys conducted.
Thanks, Katie. So another monitoring program we have are the deer browse impact surveys. And just kind of a basic review since we have a couple of new Park Authority board members. These surveys measure deer browse impacts to native woody vegetation. There are 557 permanent plots across 63 different parks across the county. The plots are resampled every 4 years. We assign each plot a score every time we survey, and that score ranges from 1 to 5, 1 being no browse damage observed, and 5 being severely browsed. And a 5 is basically no woody vegetation or no woody vegetation above 6 inches. So the results from the calendar year 24 surveys, I was able to survey 173 browse plots. They were surveyed in 18 parks that are included in the deer management program. And I'll talk about some trend lines real quick, these 2 charts here. And declining browse trend scores indicate woody vegetation growth is improving, and we would likely assign that to lower deer densities on the landscape. So our results for 2025 were 12 parks had declining trend lines, and that's the top chart. There's only 7 on there. It was just way too busy with 12. And then the bottom chart are the 4 parks that had downward trending, upward trending browse scores, and 2 parks had static trend lines, and those have an S next to them in the legend. So overall, we're seeing really good improvements in our vegetation. We're starting to see some recruitment, and you can see the majority of our parks are seeing declines in those browse surveys, which is a good sign that the program is working. Next slide, please, and I'll hand it back over to Katie. Thanks.
Thanks, Dave.
Dave, let me just jump in there real quick while we're on that. We still haven't been doing the impact surveys long enough that we've surveyed anything twice yet, correct?
Oh, no, you can go back to the previous slide. Every point on those charts are or times it was surveyed. I'm trying to do the resample every 4 years. I've only been here 4 years.
Okay.
So not every park has been done every 4 years yet. I'm still getting to the first parks in some of these cases. But each one of those points on those charts are times it was surveyed.
Okay. Okay. Got it.
We're
Thank you.
getting there. We're getting close. Last year, if you remember, I think I only did like 105 plots, and this year I got 173 done. So I'm getting back on track for a 4-year plan.
Got it. Okay. Thank you.
Sure.
Thanks, Dave. Another metric that we've been monitoring since the program began are deer vehicle collisions. Again, this was really the reason the program was started to begin with. These are the graph shown here are data. These are reportable deer vehicle collisions that are reported through TREDS, the Traffic Records Electronic Data System. These are essentially police reports, and only certain collisions are considered reportable in terms of reporting. And so these include collisions that involved injury or fatality or property damage over $1,500. So not every collision is represented here, but these are the ones that have substantial damage or impacts to human health and life. We have seen a noticeable decline over the years, so this is trending down. We see a sharp decline beginning around 2010, which coincidentally is when the deer management program really implemented the archery program. We can't correlate this directly, but it is promising that it has stayed at the lower levels. So we've seen an average of 101 deer vehicle collisions a year. And again, this is all a positive impact in seeing those numbers coming down for public safety. Next, please. Looking forward to the upcoming season starting this fall. The archery program will be held essentially the same length of time from September 6th through February 14th next year. We are adding one park that was requested. We spoke with Supervisor Alcorn. He's actually asked us to look at park additions within the Hunter Mill District due to concerns of overabundant deer from the Reston Association. So not all of the parks that we've looked at are conveniently located next to the Reston Association, but we looked at the broader area within his district. And so we are recommending the addition of Kemper Park for the archery program, and then Eudora Park for the sharpshooting program within Hunter Mill as well. We will not be conducting any shotgun hunts. These were predominantly within the Sully district, and we've transitioned all of those areas over to the archery program. Next, please. We use various forms of notification to alert the public and community members about the program. Last year, we switched our primary notification from a letter format, which we used to mail to immediate park neighbors within a certain distance of park boundaries included in the program. We switched that over to a postcard format so that it cuts down substantially on printing and postage costs, but it's also a lot more user-friendly, where we include a QR code that can direct community members directly to our deer management website and our contact information. That seemed to be a success overall, so we're going to implement that again with postcards being mailed out in July, hopefully hitting mailboxes at the end of the month. We also post a narrated webinar on our website every August, so I'll be updating that and posting that as well. And then we meet with various HOAs and civic groups at their request. We send out a press release in advance of the archery program starting every September. And then we have various other means through OPA. Our police department sends out messaging, our website, as well as the deer management program signs that will be visible and hung in the parks. Next, please. One of the things that's really kind of become front and center with the deer management program in recent years is surveillance for chronic wasting disease. So for those that might not be as familiar with this, this is a fatal neurological disease affecting members of the deer family. We started doing surveillance for CWD back in FY20, knowing that it was spreading within the Commonwealth and getting closer to Northern Virginia. Unfortunately, there was a CWD positive deer that was confirmed within Fairfax County in fiscal year 23. This was a deer that was harvested on private land in Vienna, so not within the county parks or within parks maintained in the county program. Because of this, Fairfax County has been added to a CWD disease management area known as DMA2 by the Virginia Department of Wildlife Resources, including pretty much all the other counties in Northern Virginia. And with this comes restrictions to help limit the spread of this disease. So there's restrictions on deer carcass transport. The rehabilitation of fawns is now prohibited within Fairfax County. There's a year-round feeding ban, and then increased surveillance on both public and private land. Next, please. Within our program, we've partnered with the Virginia Department of Wildlife Resources to be trained on doing the sampling ourselves. So our team actually samples the deer that are harvested in the program, sends those out for laboratory analysis, and then we receive those results directly, as well as the Department of Wildlife Resources Wildlife Health team. Last season, over 73% of the yearling and adult deer harvested within the program were tested for chronic wasting disease. This represents 61% of the total, including fawns. Fawns are not traditionally sampled, so we wanted to present that as well. And we did see a slight decrease in the testing submission from hunters in the program. That's not really anything to be alarmed about. We saw an increase the previous year following the CWD positive detection, so for that to trail off a little bit is nothing really to be too concerned about. Last season, we were able to sample 368 deer within the program from 92 parks and properties throughout Fairfax County. Of those, the majority of them, about 88% of those samples, were from hunter harvested deer through the county's archery program. Luckily and thankfully, all of the deer that have been tested through the Fairfax County program have come back as no prions detected. And this is also the same with private property. Last season, there have been no new detections in the county. So as we know, there is only currently the one confirmed positive CWD deer from FY23 and no new detections since that time. Next, please. And the graph shown here and numbers represented just show our surveillance efforts since we started in FY20. So 1,626 deer have been tested for CWD from 119 parks and properties throughout Fairfax County. The majority of these, again, over 80%, are through the archery program, in which we have a mandatory sampling period, and then followed by sharpshooting at 16% and less than 1% for these other methods. And so these are the numbers that we have represented, and I believe that's the end of the presentation. So we just wanted to open it up now for any questions or comments that you might have.
And Quincy, I have a question. What is done with the meat? Previously, it was distributed to some organizations.
Yes, it is. Actually,
Maybe I missed
did
it.
not include a slide on that. Sorry.
Oh,
So
okay.
yes, we do still donate venison, and so hunters in the archery program are allowed to either keep the venison themselves or donate, and so we do keep track of what is donated to friends and family. Some hunters donate to park neighbors that they formed relationships with over the years hunting these parks, as well as food banks. And then any of the deer that are harvested through sharpshooting are required to be donated as a part of our permit. And so those go to Hunters for the Hungry individuals or additional food banks. And so we are continuing to provide that as a service of the program to address food insecurity needs throughout the county and throughout the Northern Virginia area.
Thank you.
And there
Right.
was information,
Sorry,
I'm sorry, there was information included in the handouts with that. So there's a summary of last year's results. And in those results, if you read through that document, there's information about the meat donations, how many pounds were donated, et cetera, et cetera.
Sorry, I just wanted to jump in, Jonah Toomey here. I just wanted to go do the formal thing here and ask if there was any discussion. Kyle, you've got your hand up. Do you want to go?
Yeah, I have a question.
All right.
She was
where-
Go ahead, Faisal.
Yeah, so where is the meat processed?
So we use a processor that is in Aldi, but hunters can't for sharpshooting, but the hunters in the archery program use various processors. So we do not actually have a deer processor located within Fairfax County. There have been some hiccups there due to zoning restrictions and property leasing prices, et cetera. And so we don't have any processors that are immediately local, but there are various processors throughout our surrounding counties that the hunters take venison to, or take the deer to have processed
there
for
any-
venison.
Is there a code that they follow or a guideline that we have?
So they receive best management practices through the Virginia Department of Wildlife Resources. Many of the processors also partner with the Department of Wildlife Resources to have deer tested for CWD. So they've all been informed of those procedures, and many of them partner. With our program ourselves, we collect the samples from the deer directly before sending those deer to the processor. And then we have basically a process worked out with the processor to hold that meat and label it for our sharpshooting efforts until we let them know the results of those deer, and then they don't release the deer, the venison to the food banks until we've cleared it, showing that it's not detected.
Thank you, Katie.
You're welcome.
Any other discussion related to the meat?
Yeah, Joe, I'm gonna try to jump in here now. I got two questions, and Faisal kind of got on one of them, Katie. The last 2, maybe 3 years, you brought up the issue of there being a concern that there was no processor in the county anymore. Has everybody kind of worked through those kinks enough that we don't think it's the issue that it was, or what's our thinking on that right now?
We coordinated with zoning to look into the issue further. So since they've done the ZMOD changes, we had them essentially reevaluate that in terms of deer processing. And so it does seem like it's a little more lenient if a processor wanted to, get a determination through zoning to look at that. They would have to provide the specific, specs on that really to get an answer from zoning. But to my knowledge, no one has really attempted that at this time. Cost is still going to be a major hurdle in finding property because most of these processing operations are not year round. It's following the deer season. They're usually, a small scale operation that's done not as a full-time job. So finding property to be able to hold one of these operations is still going to be problematic. But we have had additional support from other processors in the surrounding counties. Unfortunately, we did just have one we found out there's one that's going to be shutting down likely, but I've heard there's potentially another one that might be opening. So it hasn't been as stressful of an issue as we anticipated originally, but still something we have to monitor year to year since we don't have any processors in the county.
Got it. Okay, good deal. Thank you. And then since there's only been the one positive test of CWD, is there any getting off that list, or once you're on? Is there a process?
Technically there is a process. I mean, the Department of Wildlife Resources has a CWD response plan, but part of the issue is, again, and it ties back to the deer processing as well, is that we have hunters that live outside the county. So when it comes to transport, that's the major hurdle, that even if we were removed from a disease management area, if all of our surrounding counties are included in it, that prohibits us and restricts us and causes issues in terms of transport. So
okay, so it wouldn't fix it would help on the baiting
operationally
for
it's better
surveys, okay.
Yeah, operationally it's better if we stay within the DMA as long as our surrounding jurisdictions are, even though we have had good test results moving forward.
Got it. Thank you. I'm done, Jonah. Thanks.
Thank you. Any other questions or discussion? I did have one thing I would jump in while people are thinking about any questions they might have. Is there like a certain number that we're looking for in terms of an optimal deer population before we would like pause the program, or I'm sure we're surveying to count. So what's our optimal?
We measure, we do the deer density surveys really to look at trends over time. Unfortunately, there's no magic number for the number of deer where we scale back deer management or pause or halt deer management. Essentially, once we've started, this is going to be an ongoing process through the years, which we've done for just shy of 3 decades now. So it is something that requires annual management. There are surveys out there that are studies out there that show a preference for deer densities, 15 to 20 deer per square mile to essentially safeguard extensive damage to the environment, but that is just, that depends on the circumstances, the type of habitat you have, and lots of other factors. So there's no tried and true number that we're targeting, but we're using that number as a general gauge, but then really predominantly looking at those deer related impacts and conflicts. So looking at the vehicle collisions, looking at the browse damage, all the metrics that we're monitoring for to make sure those are going in the right direction. And so we are seeing improvements in, the environment. We're seeing improvements in public safety. We are seeing, at least what we can, positive impacts on deer herd health with maintaining, a very low prevalence of disease. We're taking other metrics for deer herd health as well to show that our deer herd is actually doing quite well. So we're using all of that to gauge program success, but there's no magic number to get it down to and to stop, because as soon as you do stop, the population is going to rebound and those conflicts and impacts are going to start back up again.
It would be really interesting to know, like next year when you guys come back, if you can pinpoint a number at which they would not rebound, and which, I don't know. And also, I'm curious, and you guys are the experts on this, as to whether there are consequences of not having deer. Because obviously, if you're looking at measures like vehicle collisions and your optimal is 0, well, if you have no deer, you're not going to have any collisions. But that seems like, sort of an interference in the ecosystem in a way that, is maybe kind of extreme. So, if we're going to monitor for their density, it would be interesting to know what the optimal density is, so we can kind of, make sure we're not going beyond that.
Again, with what's recommended in the studies, they gauge somewhere around 15 to 20 deer per square mile. And many of these parks that don't have management, we're exceeding 100 to 300 deer per square mile. So just to give you a gauge on that, with the program, we're getting it lower, but we're never going to get it super low, and we're never going to eradicate deer with the management methods that we're using. So even going down to that very low threshold or no deer is not even feasible with the management methods that we have, and nor is that a goal of the program. We want to have a healthy, sustainable herd, but minimizing the impacts associated with overabundant deer. So again, we are looking at lower thresholds, but given the really high deer population within the county, it's not feasible that we're going to eliminate deer with the practices that we're using. And I'll open it up if Dave has any other additional comments on that.
Great.
Yeah, I would just say most of our parks, even with intensive management, are getting down around the 40 deer per square mile number. So still double what we would expect. And I would also say that if you take a year off, if you don't hunt 1 year, deer can double their numbers every year. And when you look at that down into the future, you're looking at exponential growth. And so if you start taking time off, if you start cutting back the program, we're going to lose every bit of ground we've made.
Great. Anybody else got any questions or discussion?
Yes, Linwood.
Linwood, go ahead.
Yeah. So I've seen many of these over the years. Thank you very much. One of the things that I've witnessed is the residential acceptance of this. It was very resisted initially, but I also remember the first several presentations that I saw. The numbers showed that even though we were trying to get the deer population under control, we were losing the fight, and it was still increasing. So obviously, we're winning the fight, at least this year and the last couple of years or whatever. How long have we actually been in the decreasing of the population? When did we turn the corner, roughly?
I could go back and look. We could look at the chart, the graph that we showed with the harvest. I can't say that specifically. Just because the harvest trend is going down doesn't mean necessarily that everything else has been falling in line with that. We would have to go back and look at the data more collectively to see when it kind of turned the corner. But it's something, because part of that is that we expanded parks pretty rapidly back in 2015, 2016. So some of that increase in harvest was due to just adding property throughout county parks. So we have to kind of weigh all of that along with hunter effort to look at that. So it's kind of a complicated question, but we can potentially look at that further.
we are reducing the population. It is not increasing now. Is I guess showing your success, frankly.
In the parks that we have management, we're seeing positive impacts. We're seeing trending down, not in every park. It does vary within parks. Some parks we still have a high number of deer, others it's lower. Again, we're not surveying every park, so we don't have density information on every park in the program. And there's definitely property, obviously parks that are not in the program, as well as private land that are refuge for deer. So there's certainly parts of the county that still have very high density of deer because we aren't able to expand this to private land. So I can't really say collectively as a county as a whole that it's going down and we've turned the corner and it's not going to go back up because it does fluctuate in those areas and within parks as well.
Well, the vehicle stuff kind of demonstrates that.
Yeah, the vehicle collision data has been staying down. Again, I wish I could attribute that solely to deer management, but we know there's lots of other factors that go into, you know, collisions with weather and construction and vehicles and the whole 9 yards. So we can't attribute that specifically to this, but I do believe that deer management is a contributing factor in keeping those collision rates down.
Yeah. So you indicated that you thought the system had the program had been going on for 28 years. So that made me think of something because I know some others that are a lot longer than that. It seems like we're maybe 5 or 6 years behind. You know, the state parks and National Wildlife Refuge and stuff like that. Does that sound right to you?
I'm not sure specifically the length of time they've been doing that, but they use different management methods and different intensities. So the length of time is one thing, but looking at, so even early years of the Fairfax County program, we were only having, you know, less than 10 parks managed a year, and that's grown over time. So now we're over, you know, well over 100 parks included in the program. So that makes a difference too, as well as the acreage. So there's lots of those factors, not just the length of time the program's been implemented, but what methods they're using and what, you know, land they're covering and doing so.
Yeah, I just know in the National Wildlife Refuge behind my house that it's been going on at least 37 years. The hunting stuff. So we would in Fairfax County would have been a little behind them, it seems.
I'd say we might have been behind some of the rural areas, but as far as suburban and urban areas, we kind of set the tone.
Yeah, our program,
a lot of other local jurisdictions came to us for advice on how to do it in urban areas. So yeah, so when it comes to a rural area where hunting is a little easier to do, we just have a lot of restrictions in the county with, especially with firearms. So that's why we have an archery program.
Yeah, but as Dave mentioned, we are consulted regularly as a model for urban deer management. So we consult with other jurisdictions within Virginia. We consult with other state agencies as well as other urban areas outside of Virginia. So we're looked to as one of the leading programs because of the breadth of methods and area that we encompass and the length of time we've been doing it and showing that it's safe and successful.
Well, thank you again for all your efforts. It's good to see you guys again and see you again next year, I assume.
Yes, thank you.
Thank you.
Any other discussion? Okay, Dave, Catherine, thank you so much. Really appreciate the presentation. Hearing no other discussion, I adjourn the Resource Management Committee. Over to you.
Thank you, Jonah. Faisal, you're up.
Thank you.
Faisal, you gotta turn yourself off mute. Faisal, you're on mute.
Can I jump in here that Dr. Carter and Abna have also joined the call?
Okay.
Great. All right. Let me deal with that. Abna, can you please state your name and the location from where you are calling?
Abna Adu Houghton, calling from my residence in Franconia District.
Great. Thank you. And Dr. Carter? Dr. Carter?
She's on mute.
Okay, we'll try her again in a little bit. Faisal, back to you, getting your committee started.
This is Faisal Khan. I call the Administration and Board Management Committee meeting to order. Kimberly, please introduce the items.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Kim Maleko, and I'm joining you tonight to give you a brief update on the 2025 Legislative Committee. Next slide, please. So, as you know, every year the Board of Supervisors has a team, the legislative team, that reviews all of the legislative items that come through the Virginia General Assembly. The intent of that is to ensure that any proposed changes that could have an impact to county staff, specifically us at Park Authority, are reviewed by county staff. So they attend committee meetings, they meet with legislators, they collect those items, they send them to us. We have staff that review them. We look to make sure that they are not going to have a significant impact to our parks, what we do, our policies, our procedures. So they're providing feedback back to that legislative team. And then that legislative team can give their feedback to our legislators to let them know that, yes, we support this, no, we don't, the reasons why. And they kind of negotiate if there's language changes or recommendations that we have for that. And this begins every year in August, and it runs through General Assembly session that is held in January and February. Once those bills are passed by both the House and the Senate, they're pushed forward to the governor, and the governor approves them or vetoes them. And most of the bills become effective July 1st. Some of them can become effective sooner, but most of them do come effective in July 1st. All the ones that we saw this year go live on July 1st, or did go live, or will go live on July 1st. Next slide, please. So this year, we had a very slow year for our subject matter experts to review bills. In Virginia, there were a little over 3,100 bills that were proposed. 43 of those were reviewed by Park Authority staff at least once, sometimes 3 or 4 times, especially if there's changes or recommendations to the changes. 20 of them were ultimately enacted, and like I mentioned, they will all become effective July 1st. The follow-up to that is those 20 bills that were enacted are then sent back to staff to review to see if there are any changes that need to happen to how we do business, and ensuring that we're following and doing the best that we can with these new proposed legislative items. Next slide. So the county's Board of Supervisors has several priorities that they announce every year, and these are those targeted items that, as legislative items come through, we give special consideration to. They vote on those every December. The ones they picked this year were to ensure K through 12 funding, WMATA transportation funding, next slide, general transportation funding, and of course, local authority. This year, we really didn't have too many bills that were of significant concern. This specific bill was somewhat concerning to staff only because there is no definition set aside for this legislation. There's no true definition of what propagation of wildlife means. So obviously we're not in the business of breeding animals, but we do feel that there could be a concern. So staff have asked that we keep a special eye on this and look for it to come back up next year in hopes that there is some type of definition added to what this bill actually means. in your handout, you should have all of the 20 bills that were enacted and how staff viewed them, whether there was an impact, no impact, whether we supported it or we didn't support it. So moving on to getting ready for next year, this begins now. So that's why I come to you every June or July, because the board is beginning to establish their priorities. We're looking at legislative items that are going to impact us possibly for next year. And so we come to you with this ask that if there's something that you feel that we should be supporting, that we should be watching for, that you would like to see, we need to get your feedback on that sooner rather than later. The deadline is the end of the end of July, although they'll let us go a week or two into August. So my ask to you every year is that if you have something that you would like us to keep an eye on, if there's a priority you want us to watch for, if there's some language that you would like to see in Virginia legislation, now is the time to bring that to our attention. And so we ask that you give that information to either myself or Amy so that we can begin working with the county's legislative team to prepare for that. We begin meeting in preparation for the 2026 session in September. So those conversations are fast and furious. September to December, the board sets their priorities, and then we're ready to go that first week in January to look at what's coming through. You also should have a final report of all the items that were presented in the last year's General Assembly. They're also available online, and you have a link to look at them, all 3,100. And I thank you very much for your time. Do you have any questions?
Sure. Are there any discussion for this? Well, seeing and hearing none, I think I hereby adjourn this meeting.
Thank you.
Thank you, Faisal. This is Kyle Stone again. Dr. Carter, can you hear me?
Kyle, I think she is, this is Tim Hackman. I think she's trying to connect potentially by phone. In
Yes,
the meantime, she's there.
Yes, I can hear you. Yes,
Great.
I can hear you.
Can you please state your name and from where you are calling?
Yes, Cynthia Jacobs Carter, calling from near my home in Franconia District.
Great, thanks very much. Given that, are you able to kick off this meeting, or do we need to move to the vice chair of the awards committee?
Well, I sent a message to the vice chair. I'm not sure if he received it. If he is willing to, we'll move to him.
Okay. I did, Kyle. Thank you. This is Tim Hackman, vice chair of the awards committee. I call to order the awards committee. Thank you, Cynthia.
Thank you, Tim.
Diane Allison, who will be presenting this evening?
I will be presenting.
Okay,
Thank you.
Appreciate it.
Good evening. My name is Allison Rankin. I'm the Chief Strategist for the Park Authority. I'm here tonight to present the 2025 Ellie Doyle Park Service Awards. Next slide. The annual Ellie Doyle Awards program involves multiple award categories. The Park Authority Board selects winners for the Ellie Doyle Award, the Youth Award, and Special Recognition categories, as well as the Strickland, Ormsby, Stunts, and Jedi Awards. The board chairman recommends Chairman's Choice Award winners. The Park Foundation chooses winners for the Aiken Awards. Not each of these categories must have a winner each year. Each site and program is able to nominate an outstanding volunteer for recognition as well. Next slide. The Ellie Doyle Awards program was established in 1988 to recognize Ella Mae Doyle's service on the board and her service as chair. In 2025, we will recognize winners in the Ellie Doyle Special Recognition, Strickland, Ormsby, Mayo, and Mayo Stunts Award categories. The Foundation's Aiken Awards are included as well. The outstanding volunteers will be recognized at a summer concert series event on July 10th at the Government Center. Next slide, please. The Ellie Doyle Award category recognizes individuals or groups that have given outstanding service contributions to Fairfax County parks. As I mentioned, this award has 3 categories: the main Ellie Doyle Award, a Youth Award, and a Special Recognition Award. Next slide. The Harold Strickland Partnership and Collaboration Award was established in 2015 and recognizes teamwork and cooperation to help sustain or grow the parks, often at limited, reduced, or no capital expense. Next slide, please. The Sally Ormsby Environmental Stewardship Award was established in 2007 and recognizes environmental stewardship and sustainable management of natural resources. Next slide, please. The Mayo Stunts Cultural Stewardship Award was established by the board in 2013 and recognizes efforts by individuals, organizations, or businesses to promote preservation and stewardship of cultural resources in Fairfax County. Next slide, please. Our outstanding volunteers make a positive impact on the environment, the quality of life, and the health and well-being of our community. Next slide, please. This is the list of our 2025 outstanding volunteers, and you can see the wide range of roles they serve, from landscapers, golf course starters, front desk volunteers, adapted aquatics support, IMA site leaders, pottery monitors, and much more. We are incredibly thankful for the support of these volunteers and all the time and energy they dedicate to our park system. Next slide, please. The Park Foundation's Aiken Awards were established to recognize individuals and organizations who work to continue the Aiken legacy. The Aiken family donated the land that became Fairfax County's first park and an additional 240 acres, which became the foundation of the county park system. Aiken Award categories include individual, organization, and friends group/volunteer teams. Next slide, please. Now we come to the big moment, our 2025 proposed slate of award winners. The Park Authority Board has reviewed all the submitted nominations and voted for these nominees to compile this year's slate of awardees. For the Ellie Doyle Award, our proposed awardees are Tim Bowers and Carolyn Gamble. For the special recognition category, our proposed awardees are Cynthia Glackus, Paul Gross, Brian Keith, and Christina Wenks. Next slide, please. For the Harold Strickland Award, our proposed awardee is Mark Cohn. For the Sally Ormsby Award, our proposed awardee is Sarah Holtz, and Mary Lipsey is the proposed awardee for the Mayo Stunts Award. Next slide. The Park Foundation has selected the following award winners for this year. In the individual category, the winner is Helen L. Kafka. In the organization category, the winner is Pohanka Automotive and Scott A. and Phyllis P. Crabtree Family Foundation. And in the Friends Group/Volunteer Team category, the winner is the McLean Central Park Playground Team. Next slide. And that concludes our 2025 proposed slate of volunteer awards winners. We are here to ask for the committee's approval of the proposed slate tonight. At this time, I'd be happy to answer any questions.
Thank you, Allison. Is there any discussion or are there any questions for Allison? I don't see any hands or hear any comments. Do I have a consensus to move this forward to the full board?
Yes.
Yep.
Yes.
Yes.
Okay. In that case, we have consensus to move it forward to the full board. If there's no other business, I adjourn the awards committee.
Great. Thank you, Tim. This is Kyle Stone again. Now that the Park Authority Board Committee meetings have been completed, we will begin the Public Links annual meeting. So I have to put on a different hat for this one. Good evening. I am president. I get a promotion, Kyle Stone. Welcome to our Public Links Incorporated annual meeting, June 11th, 2025. It's 6:55 p.m. So the first item of business for this evening for the Links Committee, or the Public Links, is to approve the minutes from our annual meeting of last year. And I would move the adoption of the minutes of the 2024 annual meeting of Public Links Incorporated. Do I have a second? And can someone remind me who else is on this who can actually second? Because I know it's not the whole board.
This is Peter Kim, Treasurer of Public Links. I can second the motion.
Perfect.
Right. And also Cynthia is your other current member, Kyle.
Great. Thank you, Tim. All in favor?
Yeah.
You got an aye here, Peter. Dr. Carter? All right. Well, anyway, 2 people voted, so we're in good shape. Okay. So then, is there anyone opposed?
Yes.
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 Okay, all right. That motion carries. Then we've got the annual report. Ryan, that's up to you to present.
Yes, thank you. Good evening, everybody. Ryan Carmen, Golf Division Director, and I'm here to present the 2024 Public Links Annual Review. Next slide. Just as a reminder, Public Links Incorporated operates alcoholic beverage concessions at the following 7 Fairfax County Park Authority golf facilities, that being Burke Lake Golf Center, Greendale Golf Course, Jefferson District Golf Course, Laurel Hill Golf Club, Oakmont Golf Center, Pinecrest Golf Course, and Twin Lakes Golf Course. All sites offer beer and wine, with the addition that Laurel Hill offers liquor as well. Gross revenues in 2024 for Public Links were $680,922, which was an increase of nearly $3,700 over 2023 gross revenues. That is an increase of 4% alcohol revenue per round of golf. And throughout the year of 2024, $388,714 of revenue was transferred to Fairfax County Park Authority, with net revenue increasing over 2023 by $53,338, or almost 15%. The increase in net profits can certainly be attributed primarily to Twin Lakes and Laurel Hill, but also there weren't major expenses like there was in 2023 in regards to beverage cart and operational expenses such as coolers and whatnot. And that is the year in review for Public Links.
Okay, Ryan, what happened at Twin Lakes and Laurel Hill? And nothing, or we just had more people show up?
It's definitely attributed to rounds of golf, and that's for all 7 golf courses, but again, less expenses, much less larger expenses.
Got it. Any other questions or discussions around this annual report? Okay. With that, I would move the adoption of the 2024 annual report and ask for a second.
I second the motion.
Thank you, Peter. All in favor? Aye.
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 Thank you. Any opposed? Okay, that motion carries. Let's move on to the election of officers for 2025-2026. This is Kyle Stone. I'm stating the slate of officers for 2025-2026 as myself, President Kyle Stone, Vice President Tim Hackman, Secretary Dr. Cynthia Jacobs Carter, and Treasurer Peter Kim. And I would move the adoption of the slate of officers as just read and ask for a second.
I second the motion.
Okay, all in favor? Aye.
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 Any opposed? Okay, that motion carries. All right. What do we got next? Leases for 2025. Move the adoption of the 2025 leases for Public Links. And we we
It's
can now
Tim
use
Hackman.
the new slate, correct? So Tim,
Yes,
you're up.
this is Tim Hackman.
Okay.
I second.
Great, thank you. Any discussion on this? All right, all in favor?
Aye.
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 Great. Any opposed? All right, that motion carries. And finally, we have the solution of public links. And Ryan, you have a presentation on that.
I do, yes. Again, Ryan Carmen, Gulf Division Director. And next slide. And I will be discussing the public links dissolution recommendation. Next slide. So a quick kind of holistic history of Public Links Incorporated. So in the mid-'70s, it was decided that Gulf Enterprises wanted to sell alcohol at Twin Lakes Golf Course. And for liability reasons at the time, Fairfax County policy prohibited county agencies from routine sale of alcohol. In 1976, the Park Authority Board voted unanimously to establish an ABC Board, a nonprofit corporation titled Public Links, which consisted of 3 members of the Park Authority Board. Procedural Memorandum 0804 that governs use in the sale of alcohol at county facilities, which specifically exempts facilities under the control of FCPA, was last amended in 2006, allowing FCPA facilities to sell alcohol. And what I forgot to mention at the start of this presentation is John Dorsey from OCA has joined for one particular slide. So next slide, please. So back in fall of 2024, a work group was put together, mostly comprised of Gulf Enterprises and the financial management branch. And through evaluation, the determination was made that there is an overlap of tasks leading to duplication of functions between the Gulf Division and FMB. The county no longer has a policy prohibiting the sale of alcohol on FCPA facilities, which are exempted from the county's overall alcoholic beverage use policy. In other words, FCPA may sell alcohol if properly permitted by Virginia ABC. It also is determined that by dissolving public links, it will improve efficiency and simplify and reduce complexity while capturing revenue in real time, much like other FCPA lines of business. There will be a cost reduction in hours worked by site staff and treasurer, preparing monthly and yearly reports, along with other administrative and organizational expenses associated with public links, again, which will result in cost savings. Just a quick note on that. What we spend per year is around $6,300. So that'd be $6,300 right off the top saved. And then lastly, from a risk management standpoint, there is no additional risk and liability to the county with Fairfax County Park Authority absorbing alcohol-related purchases and revenue generation. And next slide, I will introduce John Dorsey to present.
Good evening, everyone. Thank you, Ryan. So just to briefly, walk through the dissolution process. Luckily, it is relatively simple. It will be in accordance with the Virginia Code, specifically the Virginia Non-Stock Corporation Act lays out the necessary steps, as well as the Virginia State Corporation Commission has promulgated regulations and steps for dissolution of corporations, including forms, and that really walk you through specifically what needs to be done and the form of articles of dissolution and termination that must be filed with them, which is very helpful. And so Public Links as a non-stock corporation, again, this will be done through the Non-Stock Corporation Act. There are essentially 3 steps in order: dissolution, distribution, and then termination. Dissolution is just voting to dissolve, and then there are articles of dissolution to be filed with the SEC, and then distribution of all assets, making sure that all obligations and debts have been paid, claims, and distributing the remaining assets. And as it states on the presentation, all new or replacement property and equipment purchased by Public Links per the Articles of Incorporation become property of FCPA upon installation, which will also help to simplify and streamline distribution of assets. After the assets are distributed, then the entity Public Links must file articles of termination with the SEC, and once those articles are filed, then the corporation is officially and legally ended. But until in the interim between dissolution and termination, assets must be distributed, and until termination, Public Links will continue.
Thank you, John. And on that same note, the reason why we did renew the lease and have the election of officers is once, you can actually go to the next slide. Sorry, Diane. Once we get through tonight, and if you do vote to dissolve Public Links, we will then move forward and submit applications to Virginia ABC for each golf course, along with what's called a continuation of operations permit, otherwise known as a COOP. This permit approves the current alcohol licenses to remain in effect during the license application, and will prevent downtime of alcohol sales during the license application period, which is normally 60 to 90 days. So that's the major reason why we did renew the lease and the election of officers to continue Public Links as it is currently as we go through the process. So with that, Gulf Enterprises recommends that the Public Links Board takes action to dissolve Public Links, transfer all assets and all related alcohol operations to FCPA. Thank you. And any questions?
Yeah, this is Kyle Stone. Ryan, 1 or 2 potentially. So all decisions then that would normally be made by the Public Links Board would now be made by the Park Authority Board? Is that how this will work moving forward?
I don't know if the public or if the board would need to make any major decisions. It would just be another line of business for the golf division, much like greens fees, retail, food and beverage. So alcohol sales would then fall under the food and beverage line of business.
Okay, let's say for right now, for sake of argument, I saw on your previous presentation, right now, just one of the courses sells liquor. What happens if you decided you wanted to sell liquor at other ones? Okay. Is that something you would come back to us? Is that a decision now that the Park Authority Board will be making, or is that something you're going to make on your own?
So when Laurel Hill went through the application process, that's a great question, Kyle. I would have to look into that.
Yeah, because before I move forward on this, or at least my vote anyway, I'd want to know the answer to that question.
Okay.
And then kind of.
Can I jump in just for a second, yep. Kyle? I think that could be a conversation that we can have. I don't think that the
nope.
No, I'm saying I don't think that the dissolution of this or not
yes,
dissolution
it
of
does.
this.
It is 100% related to how I would vote on this. Because I don't know that I feel comfortable with, because of what it is we're selling. This isn't hot dogs and fries. I don't think I'd be comfortable with the board being cut out of a decision to change, expand, constrict how we're approaching sales of alcohol or liquor.
I think that that's what I'm saying, and we don't have to argue the point. But the board has the fiduciary responsibility over the revenue fund. So right. This is revenue fund. Then you can say we would like to have X, Y, and Z. You see what I'm saying? It's not. This is not general fund sales. This is you can direct Ryan to that we would like to before you expand, or how this sort of works, because it's especially because it's revenue fund. Sarah's hands up. I see Bill's too.
Yeah, because I don't know that I feel comfortable with, because of what it is we're selling. This isn't hot dogs and fries. I don't think I'd be comfortable with the board being cut out of a decision to change, expand, constrict how we're approaching sales of alcohol or liquor.
Hands up. I see Bill's too.
So we currently have an alcohol policy that the board passed several years ago, which addresses the locations where we allow alcohol within the park system. If that is a concern of yours of where we sell different types of alcohol, we could amend that policy and bring it back to the board to address the fact that if we decide to sell alcohol at additional locations, we would bring that back to the Park Authority Board for approval. So that could be a next step in this process, is taking a look at our current alcohol policy and how any concerns that you have this evening could be incorporated into that policy and then brought back to the board for approval.
Okay, that sounds like a good way to move forward. Bill?
Yeah, I feel the same way that you do, Kyle. I would, I think we're kind of jumping the gun here until we find out, one, that we're absolutely going to get the liquor license from ABC. And then there still has to be a person, and I'm not sure if that person is on the board, that has to sign off on that. Today, that's you as an individual in a separate corporation, as I did, where you provide all of your personal information, driver's license. So who's going to be responsible, the responsible party for that ABC license going forward? And we can dissolve this. We can dissolve this at any time. But I would want those questions out of the way before I say, let's do this.
Anybody have a response to that?
Makes sense.
Tim, I see your hand up as well.
Yes. Ryan, I assume back a couple of charts where you talked about there is the risk management or risk assessment, that there's no change or increase in risk to the county. I assume the same applies to FCPA, because as I understand it, the county manages FCPA's risk, or handles FCPA. So just wanted to clarify that there is no increased risk to FCPA per se, as well as to the county overall from a dissolution.
From my understanding, no, there is no additional risk to FCPA.
That was my only question, Kyle. Thank you.
Does the county attorney in the room feel the same way about that?
So on issues of risk management and liability, we actually defer to the county's risk management. And I know Randy Jobin had reviewed this, and his conclusion, my understanding is the same as Ryan's, that there's no additional liability to the Park Authority by the direct sale of alcohol.
Perfect. Thank you. Dr. Carter, your hand is up.
Yes, I'm in agreement
with
you, Kyle, and with you, Bill. I would rather wait to see how.
To unmute yourself, press *6.
Can you hear me now?
Yeah, you just are you dialed in like multiple places, because you got an echo?
Yeah, I'm on phone and I'm on.
All right,
Zoom.
so mute one of them, please. Okay, you want to try again?
Okay, can you hear me now?
Yep.
Okay, I said I am in agreement with you, Kyle, and with you, Bill. I would really rather wait to see the outcome of this before we move it forward.
Okay.
That's it.
Jonah, I should probably have asked this before I called on Bill. It was just need a reaction, but I guess I'm allowed. I mean, neither Bill nor Jonah is members of the board. I don't know if I'm allowed to let other people ask questions. Anybody got any thoughts on that?
It typically goes through the board members for public links. Any questions?
Jonah, you want to text me your question or put it in chat and I'll read it? While Jonah is doing that, I think at least where I'm at, it sounds like Dr. Carter is in a similar spot. Tim, I don't know where you are. but I think I want to hold on moving the dissolution till we get both mine and Bill's points addressed. And we can come back and do this as soon as 2 weeks from now or whenever else we're ready to address some of the other pieces.
Yeah, I wouldn't object to tabling it until some of the other issues are resolved.
Kyle, can I ask either specify, we can do it via email. I just want to make sure that we have all of the questions
Sure.
correct. Do you want to just do that offline and make sure that
Yep,
we have
that's
it?
fine. That's fine.
Just so you know, the chat is turned off for the meeting.
Oh, okay. Janet, we can discuss offline and we can potentially add that, whatever questions that you have into the mix with the stuff that I raised and Bill raised. Okay, so
Mr. Chairman,
given that,
I would move that we table this issue until a time to be determined in the future.
Yep. Do we have a second?
I second.
Great. All in favor?
You've been muted.
Aye.
To unmute yourself,
Aye.
press *6.
Any opposed?
Any opposed?
Okay,
You're
so that
no longer
motion
muted.
carries. And I don't think,
You've
Ryan,
been
we have any
muted.
other business
To unmute
at this
yourself,
moment for this
press-
committee.
No, I appreciate your time. Thank you.
Thank you, Ryan. Okay, with that, this is Kyle Stone again. I would adjourn this meeting. And then we go back to the normal board meeting. We haven't anybody new at it. So this is Kyle Stone. I call the June 11th, 2025 Park Authority board meeting to order. It is 7:17. Deidre, do we have any speakers signed up this evening?
Good evening, everyone. Mr. Chairman, Deidre Grayson, Marketing and Communications Division Director. Mr. Chairman, we have 3 speakers signed up for this evening. The first speaker being Carson Sweezy. Mr. Sweezy, if you are still online, if you would like to. Oh.
Hello.
Hi. Thank you for unmuting yourself. If you wouldn't mind introducing yourself by name, and then you'll have 5 minutes to speak.
Perfect. Thank you, Ms. Grayson. I am Carson Sweezy, and I'm a local resident here, born and raised. I know I'm timed here, so I've written down my thoughts to make sure it's as brief as I can be. Good evening, Mr. Peralta and all members of the Fairfax Park Authority Board. I'm Carson Sweezy, a lifelong resident, entrepreneur, member of our vibrant local pickleball community. Thank you for your service to Fairfax County and for your continued efforts to support recreational activities for our residents. I'm here to speak about the proposed removal of the Chalet Woods pickleball courts in Centerville near Braddock Road. I appreciate the county's recognition of pickleball's rapid growth and the proposal to build 3 new dedicated courts at Greenbrier Park. But I'm here to respectfully urge you to please not remove the existing courts at Chalet Woods. Our county is vastly underserved at the moment in terms of pickleball. Chalet Woods is a unique, irreplaceable space that functions as a walkable, free, and welcoming community hub. Seniors, women, children, and minorities make up the majority of the players at Chalet Woods. Families rely on the woods for low-cost, close-to-home recreation, biking and walking to the courts oftentimes. It's not just sport, it's connection and the bedrock of a thriving community. Anecdotally, I met my barber there, I've reconnected with old classmates, players support the nearby small businesses like Virginia Bagel and other local restaurants after we play there. I'm by no means representative of the average Chalet Woods demographic. Those who play at Chalet Woods are diverse in age, gender, religion, country of origin, and ethnicity, and all feel welcomed. While many consolidated courts in busier areas like Greenbrier would be attract ultra-competitive players, unintentionally intimidating casual or new players, and some women, and even especially seniors and kids, Chalet Woods offers a welcoming, low-barrier environment that fosters diverse community participation amongst neighbors. Inclusive community third places like this are rare and vital for a thriving democracy. Fairfax needs more of them, not fewer. To speak to court capacity and demand, the current plan reduces courts. We would lose 4 and only gain 3, a net loss of 1 court, at a time when national growth of pickleball is seeing 48 million players in 2024 across the US. That's a 300% jump from 2022. Side-by-side comparison with tennis, there's around 24 million players in the US, so about half that of pickleball. By Fairfax County's own research, they suggest that over 50,000 residents will play in 2025. And using a national average in Fairfax, it's more likely there's over 150,000 players in 2025 within Fairfax County. Further, pickleball is set to experience 12% year-over-year growth through 2028. As I said, many players walk and bike to Chalet Woods. Greenbrier, while technically 10 to 15 minutes without traffic, we all know how traffic is in the area, it would typically average 20 to 25 minutes during peak hours, an hour round trip. That isn't practical for our neighbors who are seniors, students, parents with young kids, curious beginners, and those of us who rely on walkable transit options. To address the noise issue, the sound can be managed. We can use barriers, there's scheduling methods, community input and coordination can help. There's great examples of this in Falls Church City and Arlington County. In terms of the homeowners who are affected, parks improve property value. Research shows that for every 10% increase in green space, nearby property values rise by 1.23%. And homes within a 5-minute walk of a park are worth 8 to 10% more. This park raises neighborhood value and the homeowners benefit from their proximity. But some of the neighbors are complaining from that benefit of being so close to the park's presence. Meanwhile, all of us pay taxes to have public access to the neighborhood park. The community's counter proposal, we urge you to please keep Chalet Woods dual use courts in place. And personally, I would suggest to build more than 3, build 6 to 12 new courts at Greenbrier, not just 3, to future-proof demand and even to meet current demand. Implementing sign-up systems and player caps, as done in Falls Church and Arlington, can help with the crowding as well. Chalet Woods includes the people who often get left out: seniors, immigrants, working families, and kids. Fairfax has always led with smart, thoughtful, and inclusive planning. Let's continue that legacy. Don't quietly erase what we've built, please. We urge you again to listen to the community. We respect our neighbors who benefit by living in close proximity to the courts, but please don't let a few complaints outweigh 50,000 residents. Please allow us to work together with local stakeholders and the county board to build fair solutions for all that manage the court's capacity. Please retain Chalet Woods pickleball access and build more than 3 courts at Greenbrier. As a final thought, many have echoed that we pay taxes here, we play here, and we're asking for you to help protect what we've built together. Thank you.
Thank you, Carson.
Thank you, Carson. Deidre Grayson again, Marcom Division Director. Moving to our second speaker is Lam Lee on the line. Lam Lay, excuse me.
Yes, I'm on the line.
Perfect. Lam, you have 5 minutes to speak, and you may start at your convenience.
Thank you, everyone. Thank you, the board, for the opportunity to speak to you today. My name is Lam Lee, and I would like to echo Carson's remarks and just highlight how active and vibrant the pickleball community is at Chalet Woods. As I'm sitting here in my car outside of the court right now, there was actually 3 teenagers that just walked up to play at the court. So this is just to emphasize that every day more and more players are showing up, parents bringing their children, seniors staying active, and neighbors connecting through the sport. It's truly become a multi-generational activity that strengthens our community. There is a consistently a line to play. On a certain day, we can see that 4 courts are full with 6 stacks of paddles waiting, which speaks to the growing demand and the limited availability of courts that we have in Fairfax County. We respectfully urge the park authority to recognize this need and to consider adding more pickleball courts, not removing the few that we currently have. Please support this community by treating pickleball as the valuable and inclusive sport it is, and not as an afterthought. Let's continue to grow with the demand and not fall behind it. Oftentimes, I have been playing here almost every day, rain, shine, even during the winter time. And there's always people playing pickleball, and the one tennis court is almost empty. Thank you.
Thank you.
Deidre Grayson again. Thank you, Ms. Lee. Moving on to speaker number 3. Do we have Ilya Arzubiaga on the line?
Yes, thank you. Good evening. My name is Ilya Arzubiaga, a 20-year resident of Charlie Woods community. Thank you, Mr. Peralta, and all the members of the board for giving me this time to speak on behalf of a diverse and growing group of pickleball players in our community. Young adults and retirees and seniors. We are deeply concerned about the proposal to eliminate the 4 existing courts at Charlie Woods and replace them with only 3 at Greenbrier. As you know, we have a community of retirees that have been playing for 8 years in the morning with no complaints. This is not just about courts, this is about community, connection, and wellness. Every day, every morning, we have dozens of retirees and seniors, as well as young kids, young adults, all ages, from all over, that really, really benefit from this court. Staying active, healthy, connected, socially connected. And instead of, for example, young adults, kids, instead of being drinking or in drugs, they're playing very welcoming, very, very family-oriented courts. Charlie Wood is a central, familiar, and accessible location for our community. Location and accessibility matters. Greenbrier may have higher traffic in the morning, rush hour traffic, so making it less viable, especially for seniors. So I have a few points to address. And one is that you're proposing to remove 4 established courts and replace them with only 3, at 25% loss in capacity when we are already short of courts. That's why you have crowded courts, because there are not enough courts in Fairfax. We should be building more courts due to the existing demand of pickleball courts. With pickleball rapidly growing, being one of the most growing sports, we need to expand, not reduce. I understand neighbors have concerns and we truly want to be part of the solution. But removing courts should not be the answer when there are a lot better options. Proposed solution will be 100% keep the Charlie Wood courts, 100%. And regarding the Greenbrier courts, 100%, let's add those courts, but not replace. Setting reasonable playing hours at Charlie Woods, for example, until 8 p.m. maybe. We used to have lights there. They already took the lights off. That's fine. Making sure that Greenbrier courts have lights for nighttime play. This will definitely help reduce the crowd of players at Charlie Woods in the evenings. To meet growing demand countywide, consider expanding courts in larger nearby spaces, such as Easy Lawrence Park. I don't know if you have thought about that. It's a big sport field, and there's a lot of space. I don't know, that'll be a great place to build new courts. And Rock Hill Park, instead of reducing them. By expanding courts throughout the community, you will help fix the problem of overcrowded courts. The whole problem here is that we don't count with enough courts. I would like to close by saying that we respectfully urge the board to recognize the critical importance of these courts, not just as a recreational facility, but as a community anchor that supports the health, happiness, and social fabric of this neighborhood. We urge the board to reconsider the above stated. Fairfax County is already underserved when it comes to public pickleball facilities, and demand is not going away. It is only growing. So taking away existing court is a step backwards for public health, accessibility, and community spirit. Also, why would we take away court that has just been, you have just spent money redoing and buying new nets? Let's be proactive, let's think out of the box and work together toward balance and positive solutions. We are a big, diverse community that relies on this. Let's protect inclusive, active recreation for all residents. Thank you, and may God bless you.
Thank you very much.
Deidre Grayson again. Thank you, Ms. Arzubiaga. Mr. Chairman, that concludes the public comments for the June 11, 2025 Park Authority Board meeting.
All right, thank you, Deidre. This is Kyle Stone. We have one admin item this evening is the adoption of the minutes for the May 28th, 2025 Park Authority Board meeting. And I would move the adoption.
I
Do I have a
second. Tim
second?
Hackman.
Thank you, Tim. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Any opposed? All right, that motion carries. And we have just one action item this evening as well. And I would ask for a motion to approve the nominees
This
for the
is Tim Hackman.
2025 Park Authority Awards Program as presented to and reviewed by the Awards Committee on June 11th, 2025.
This is Tim Hackman. I so move.
Thank you, Tim. Do we have a second?
Ken Quincy, second the motion.
Thank you, Ken. Any discussion on this? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, that motion carries. And we've got a handful of information items this evening. The FCPA Energy Plan update, the FCPA Zero Waste Plan update, Park Development Division Quarterly Project Status Report, the Fiscal Year 2025 Third Quarter Request and Budget Review, Fund 10001 in the General Fund, and the Fiscal Year 2025 Third Quarter Budget Review, Fund 80000, which is a Revenue and Operating Fund. And these were all discussed at various committee meetings the last time we all met on May 28th of this year. Chairman's Matters, again, this is Kyle Stone. Just a handful of things. We celebrated National Trails Day on Saturday. Want to thank Jim Surfos, Hidden Ponds manager, and all his team for putting that together. It seemed like a good event. I was there right after the rain fell, so not a whole lot of people when I was there, but it looked like the crowd was coming as I was leaving. Just want to thank everyone who was there. I want to give a special thanks to Brittany Vasquez for her work on promoting and putting that event together. Interns, December 2025 interns were, that whole group just recently started. They just had their orientation. So welcome, just want to say welcome to all of them. Good luck this summer. Hope you guys do some good work. Last time we met, I mentioned we maybe we'll have an August meeting. I think we gave you a date of the 27th. Is that right, Diane?
That is correct. Yes.
All right. I would ask you to keep that on your calendars for a little bit longer. Hopefully end of this week, beginning of next, we'll know for sure if we're going to need it. We're checking on the timing of things. There's some hope that we may be able to not have to do this special one-off in August, just keep our September meetings on schedule and still meet DMB's internal deadlines for all this related stuff. So just hold on to that for a little bit longer. Hopefully the end of this week, beginning of next, we'll know what's going on. The only other thing I've got is for Jay, actually, and her director's matters. I imagine for some board members, the testimony today was a little bit maybe out of left field or unexpected. It's not something we've discussed before. So if you could just provide a little bit of background for the board's own edification on what kind of prompted the concerns from the community, that would be great. And that is all I have. So Jay, the floor is now yours.
Good evening, Jay Cole, Executive Director of the Fairfax County Park Authority. So before that goes up, the director's matters goes up, Diane. So the context here is that Chalet Woods is one of the courts that is outside of our site selection criteria for distance to houses and parking. It's a very popular court. I think it's a little bit of a victim of its own success. We love seeing successful parks. We want to make sure that when we're looking at options to be good neighbors, both to the pickleball community and to the people who live in the surrounding areas, that we are choosing where to provide other opportunities that are within the site selection criteria first, before making any decisions about removing the courts that exist right now. We are looking at Greenbrier. That is open right now for public comment so that we can see whether or not that's going to work. We are purposely, because of the rapid nature of wanting to make sure that we're not removing the play in general, that we're still allowing for play. The proposal that's currently out there gets us underneath the permitting requirements, which is why it's like an odd number of 3, so we can get that done quickly. We are actually looking at a lot of other opportunities, specifically in the Sully district, to do more of a greenfields development for some pickleball courts. Those are going to take longer just because of the permitting nature. I believe one of them might have to be master planned. We have to change the master plan for. So that's where we are right now. We'll probably bring something to the board in the next few months or so when we know sort of what we're proposing.
And just a follow up on that. So the kind of that initial tranche or potential initial tranche of 3 at Greenbrier, that would be within the current bond cycle, or is that something that has to wait and for us to discuss for 2020? Okay.
No, we're doing that right now. We have to make the decision for using that bridge funding, make the decision in order to sort of reduce the pressures on that neighborhood from Chalet Woods. So, but again, it's not it. So we need to get in there and do the first thing. I agree with, I know we're not supposed to agree with or talk about testimony, but the idea of looking at other opportunities there, it's going to take a reconfiguration. There's also very popular diamond fields there. There's brick and mortar bathrooms, a lot of opportunities at Greenbrier. The next step, if we were to go that direction, would be to add more courts, possibly. But that would be permanent.
And that would be something we would have to discuss as part of, the board would have to discuss as part of the 2026 month. Okay. All right.
No, maybe not. Depends. It depends on either bridge funding or depends.
Okay.
But yes.
All right, but all stuff that would come is going to come back to us kind of in due time. Fair enough. I want to keep this on this topic, so we'll let Jose one question and then we'll continue on with a regular scheduled program.
Yeah, just really quick question about the timeline of the site selection criteria and how that fell with when Chalet Woods was created.
So what originally happened, and this is a sort of a good background for some of the new board members. So what happened is that pickleball, it has exploded in popularity in the last, as everybody knows, 5 to 10 years. So what we did to, especially after COVID, what we did to, the Park Authority did to react to that was put a lot of pickleball courts out there. It takes a long time to do a site selection study. And so we did that first. And then we did the study at the same time. And so, which is great because we were able to be nimble and provide pickleball. But we weren't able to wait. We didn't want to wait until the pickleball study and see where, because then we wouldn't have as many pickleball courts as we have right now. So in some places we got it very right. And in some places it's too close to houses. And so right now we're going and looking at some of the complaints that we're having and looking at that. So these Chalet Woods courts were done before the site selection criteria was completed and the pickleball study was done.
Okay. All right. Regularly scheduled program, Jay. Director's matters.
Okay. Okay. Deidria has promised that hopefully we'll have some roll from National Trails Day. We don't have it today because it was pouring down raining. So we'll have the Channel 16 stuff for the next Director's Matter. Next slide. So we had a phased opening of Mount Vernon Rec Center. As hopefully you know, we've had Mount Vernon Rec Center has been closed for 2 years. While we've been doing the construction, we had a phased reopening. The entire facility is not yet open to the public. That will happen later on this year, and it will be a very, very large event. The pool is still under construction, and so it's not a full opening for this event, but we did have a phased reopening to allow people to come in and use the fitness room and the ice skating rink. What's not here is that I was on live TV on ice skates for possibly the first time in my life. I can't really think if it's the first time. I don't know, but I was holding on for dear life on live TV to 2 people so I didn't fall. And then like, yeah, it's live, sure, no problem. So please, if you watch that take, there are people who are far more, far better at this than me, and just know that I really are uncomfortable being uncomfortable, especially with athletic endeavors. So next slide. I will say this. The facility looks phenomenal. We're going to be talking about this all summer. When we have the opening, we're going to be talking about this. I will say it over and over and over again. Staff have done just a Herculean effort to get this site open, especially in the midst of a lot of people like me and supervisors and the public who see the big building and think it's done. But there's so many, I mean, just imagine moving into a brand new house and then multiply that by about 100, and then add a lot of technology that people have to learn. There are a lot of late nights, a lot of boxes being opened, a lot of, I don't know how to put this together. Staff have just done a phenomenal job of getting this facility open and up, and we're going to really celebrate them come this summer. Next slide. Again, in terms of talk about landing a jetliner on a dime, in a 2-year stint of trying to get this facility open to be able to actually put camps in the camp guide and said, you know, a year from now, we're absolutely going to make it. And we did. So Fitness Center opened on June 9th. We have our first camps in the facility on June the 16th. Joplin fitness classes start and classes begin also on the 16th. And on the 23rd, the climbing wall will open, and as will the drop-in childcare. Next slide. Some needs assessment updates. Again, we have had community events in person at all 9 Board of Supervisor districts. All 3 of the Park Authority Racial Equity Index opportunity areas had focus groups. We had one at Colmore, at Springfield, and Alexandria for a teen group. The remaining 3 focus groups, we're going to be going to the Athletic Council on the 17th of June, Health and Human Services agencies on the 24th, and environmental organizations in late June. As far as stakeholder interviews, we've had the Franconia and the Mason district were scheduled, and all the other ones have been completed. We've had over 900 surveys received. 40% of the questions have over 1,000 responses. The survey ends on the 15th. So if you put it out on your social media or have friends, please push it out again. We want to make sure we get as many people who are talking about what they value in our parks. The statistically valid survey, we're on target for our goal of 600 responses. And then, as always, promotional activities. We have social media ads were released targeting our opportunity areas and online with less online survey participation. And is that it? Next slide. I think that's it. Oh, today, it seems like it was a long time ago. This morning, I was in Tyson's with Supervisor Bierman and Supervisor Palchik to unveil the TCA wayfinding ribbon cutting. So there are wayfinding signs in Tyson that shows people to our parks, our POPs, which is privately owned public spaces, trails, rapid transit. And so had branding and wayfinding, and is a partnership between the Tyson's, what's the C?
Corner
Alliance.
Community Alliance.
Community Alliance. Thank you, Torsia. Tyson's Community Alliance, FCPA, and DPWES. And it's a pilot program, and we had 3 signs on our parkland, but you can see some of the really phenomenal and beautiful pops that were built in the Tysons area. So that was this morning. I think that would be it. Next slide. Oh, no, I'm lying. Always ends with the upcoming events. So obviously summer's here, summer's coming. And so we have a lot of events as always. Our summer entertainment series continues. The 14th, we have in Mason District, A World of Encanto with Jay Chris. At Wakefield Park on the we have Providence District Pride Festival in Mosaic District on the 14th. Also on the 14th in the Mason District, Taiwan Cultural Heritage at 7:30 at Ossian Hall. And the 14th Mount Vernon District with the U.S. Navy Band Commodores at 7:30 at Workhouse Arts. If you want to know more about our performances, there's the website to go. I just want to remind everybody we're status quo for this summer. We will be cutting our entertainment series down for the budget cuts next summer. So this summer it's the full gambit. The Sully Car Show is on the 15th at Sully Historic Site. Please come and celebrate Juneteenth. There's 2 sites that really have some great, well-attended programming. On the 19th, there's the annual celebration at Sully Historic Site from 10 a.m. to 2 p.m. And on the 21st, at the Historic Meeting House and Grounds at Frying Pan Farm Park at 10 a.m. to 2 p.m. And I just want to remind everybody the farmers markets continue to be open. Summer's coming, so we're getting out of some of the cold veggies. Well, I guess people love the cold veggies too, but I love it when like the fruits start, like the juicy fruits start coming in to the farmers market. So apples are great, lettuce is great, but I love it when the strawberries and the cherries and all the other stuff start coming in. So get out to your farmers market. Reminder also, they do take a lot of them take SNAP, which is a really great program that we have at our farmers markets. They also take composting there. Some of ours have live music. It really is a phenomenal community event. They have food, they have hot food, they have meats, they have eggs, they have everything. So please get out if you haven't been to your local farmers market and send us some photos if you go. And that hopefully is it. I think that's great.
That's it.
Okay.
All right. Let's try to do this in alphabetical order. Abena, you have anything for us this evening?
No, I'll pass. Thank you.
Thank you. Bill?
I had an opportunity to attend the memorial service for Kathy Hudgens. Very moving ceremony, and Jay was there, and glad that the community showed out for a woman that really left a big indelible mark. And the thing that we did not, I don't think anybody ever talked about it, but a couple months ago we lost Janie Strauss from the school board, and Ken and I worked real closely with her when she was on the school board. I didn't know she was sick, but she passed away, and so condolences to her family, and certainly thanks for all of the contributions that she made. And last but not least, I can't wait to get to the Sports Tourism Task Force meeting on the 23rd. I'm sure it'll be a spirited session based on the itinerary and the agenda that was sent out that not necessarily all of us had input into. Thank you.
Thank you, Bill. I'm glad to hear that you will be there. Dr. Carter.
She had to step off the call.
Okay. Fair enough. Linwood.
I am aglow with glee and cheer about the opening of the rec center. And in many ways, it seemed like it was just closed yesterday. And in many ways, it seems like it was closed forever. But being at that event this past Monday morning, just everybody there was delighted. Everybody was blown away. I hope you all get a chance to go by there and visit at some point. It's just absolutely spectacular. With that said, there are some aspects of the rec center at this point that are not open, that Jay went over for us all. And I just want everybody to know it is my belief, and I believe it is 100% accurate, that there is nothing that is any responsibility of the park authority for it not being open. That's a really nice sentence, wasn't it? But anyway, the park authority has done just an absolute stellar, perfect job. All the programming, all the hiring, all the execution. I know of nothing that they did wrong. So thank you very, very much to everybody that worked so hard on that. With that said, I'm going to go just a little tiny bit negative. Everybody's worked their butt off, done this perfect job that I've just talked to you about. And here come the complaints. And I want to just give an extra thanks to the people that have worked so hard that now have to field these often petty, small complaints after so much effort was put in it, and assure everybody that's having to field these complaints that the vast majority, 99.999% of the population, is nothing but appreciative for everything that you've done. And this is a small percentage of people that have complaints. Nevertheless, they're frustrating. Thank you very, very, very much for all your efforts fielding them. And I'm not saying there's an overabundance of numbers. It's just frustrating when you see the nature of some of them. But thank you for everybody. Thank you.
Thank you, Linwood. Who's next? Tim.
I pass. Thank you.
All right. Rick.
Nothing at this time. Thank you.
All righty. Faisal.
I'll pass, sir.
Jose.
I'll pass.
Ken.
Just remarking about Bill's remarks about Jamie Strauss. She was a pleasure to work with. I didn't know she had passed, Bill. Appreciate your remarks in that regard. I pass.
All right. Mike's on here. So Jonah, you're the last one this evening.
I'll pass.
All right. Anybody have anything else for the good of the order? All right. With that.
Wait. I do. Sorry. I know this is like not normal.
Okay.
I want to share something before everybody leaves. I know. I never, we to Linwood's point, we very often get complaints. I just wanted to share an email we just got in during this meeting. We haven't done the opening for it. This is Hybla Valley, which is in one of our opportunity areas over close to Mount Vernon Woods. And this is the email. I wanted to share the success story with you. I've been driving past Hybla Valley Park. We just renovated it. It'll be opening soon. Futsal playground. I've been driving past Hybla Valley Park for the past 4 years on my way home from work. I've never seen anyone at that park when it was tennis courts. The last 2 days since the construction put down asphalt, I've seen people there with kids the past 2 days in a row, and it's not even technically open. Thank you for making this change and giving that community a place to play. So just wanted to add, hopefully end the evening on a good note.
Nice kudos. All right. I'll ask again. Anything else for the good of the order? All right. Not seeing anything. Jay, you don't have any last minutes? No, we're good. Okay. We are adjourned. See you all in 2 weeks.
Good night, everyone.
Good night.
Night, everybody.
Thank you.